Um, all right. I mean, we're recording here. I think people will just kind of like hop on. You guys can kind of like ask questions and things as I kind of go along here. But Danielle wanted me to talk about mindset. I think she said mindset guru on there. And she wanted me to talk about belief in the business. So for those of you guys that don't know who I am, that are catching the recording, I'm Pat. I'm Danielle's coach. I met Danielle back in, I think 2015 when I moved to Delray Beach. I was playing beach volleyball, and I was really bad at it. And not many people were very welcoming to kind of come help me and show me the ropes. They were kind of, focused on their own games and stuff. But she kind of came over and took the time to show me a few things, gave me a few tips, and kind of showed me the ropes and kind of got me started. And then her husband, Brian, I did a few lessons with Brian. He kind of helped me out, and I kind of was able to get to the point where I could hold my own and get to hang out. But that's kind of how I met Danielle and Brian, and then she kind of started following me on Facebook and reached out to me about one of the challenge groups. And so I talked to her about it, told her about it, didn't hear from her for a while. So I had to follow up with her. And so if I hadn't followed up with Danielle, I don't think this Team Destined thing would be going on right now. And there wouldn't be this Dash to Diamond. So fortune's in the follow-up. Make sure you guys are doing your follow-ups. But so I've been a coach for 10 years. It flew by. The first few years, I didn't really have a lot of success with this thing. It was more something that I kind of treated as like a hobby that I would just do here and there. So Danielle wanted us to share kind of our biggest mistakes we made as new coaches, when we fell a few times. You all are going to fall at times. I still fall at times. The biggest mistake I made as a new coach, and probably the biggest mistake I see most coaches make, is not being consistent, not staying consistent. So I would get really excited after a call like this or going to an event or something like that, and I would start inviting. I'd start sharing what I was doing. I'd start talking to people. But then people would kind of say no, or they wouldn't respond. And so I would just not keep with it. I would kind of get discouraged and I'd fall off. How many of you guys have kind of felt that way before, where you guys are all pumped up and then it's not happening as fast as you want, and you kind of take a break, and then you stop sharing, you stop inviting, you stop following up, right? How many of you guys are like that? Yeah. Cool. So that's the biggest mistake I made, is that I didn't really realize that even though people weren't saying yes, I was still making progress in my business because they were watching me. The longer they watched me, the more likely they were to come around and hop on board. And a lot of times it took them 6 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 years. I still have people that come to me and sign up that have been watching me for 3-4 years. That was the biggest mistake. I didn't understand that people needed to watch me for a while. So as far as this business and the belief and having belief in this business, I'm a big picture guy. I want to know the big picture. I know all the little things you got to do every day, but I'm always thinking big picture. So when someone comes to me and they say, Pat, what's the secret to this business? How do you create a 6-figure income? How do you create a business and a team that's going to impact a ton of lives? I tell them it's very simple. I can tell you in 2 words how to build a 6-figure income business with this thing. Develop leaders. Find 2 or 3 people that develop into leaders. The catch is, just like I was saying before, is that those 2 or 3 people are usually pretty smart people that are usually probably doing pretty good at whatever else they're doing in life. And they're going to have to kind of sit back and watch you do this for a while. And then when they do finally come around and say they want to do this with you, it's going to take them a year or 2 of them putting in the work and allowing people to watch them before they get on board and they start crushing this thing. So there's really kind of more of this 12 to 24 months before you really start to see this payoff, where all of a sudden you have these confident leaders that are killing this thing. That's the secret to the business. Find those 2 or 3 leaders. The catch is it usually takes sometimes two years, sometimes 3 years before all of a sudden you have those 2 or 3 leaders on your team. You just got to understand that consistency, showing up every day, is what's going to attract them, and then staying consistent is what's going to help them develop into leaders. Do you guys know who Ashley Fell Dyson is? Any of you guys know who she is? So she's a coach on Team Boom that has been a coach, I think, 3.5 years. And I think her second year into the business, she didn't have a lot of success. She was learning the skills her first year, starting to become consistent. Second year, started to have a little more success. People started to really trust her because they had seen her doing this for a year now. So that second year, she started getting people on board. And then her third year, those people started really developing into leaders. And last year, she made $125,000, right? So it's that buildup where that first year you're learning, you're proving to people that this is real. They get on board kind of during the end of that first year. You really get those good people. That second year, they're getting their stride, they're getting their confidence, they're attracting their people. And then your third year usually is kind of when it takes off. But that's only if you're consistent for that entire time. Because there's coaches that have been coaches for more than 3 years that haven't ever stayed consistent for an entire year. So they've never seen that momentum. They've never gained that credibility, attracted those people that have turned into leaders. So they've never seen that income growth. That's the biggest mistake that I see. And it's the biggest mistake that I made myself. So that's just one example. So I know you guys all have heard, a lot of you guys have heard me talk about the escalator thing. I'm a very visual learner. Like when people tell me stuff, I want to see it in a visual example because that's what kind of lands for me. So how many of you guys have tried to, some of you guys have heard this, but for the new coaches that I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I talk about this escalator mindset because that to me is this whole business. And that's something that I struggled with in the beginning, and it's finally what made it click for me, and I finally started having success with this thing, and I see the same thing with my coaches. So how many of you guys have ever tried to run up the escalator that was going down? You know, at the mall, you got those down escalators, but you ever try to run up it? I see Shay laughing. She's done it. Yeah, Chris. Cool. So two Chris's. All right. So that's kind of how this business is in the beginning. You're like at the mall, you're with your mom or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to run up this escalator that's going down just for the fun of it and see if I can do it. And you're excited, right? Like it's fun when you start a new business. Even when you start a new job, it's fun. You're like, it's exciting. All right, let's do this. You get on this escalator, you're running up it, but it's going down. And so, but at first it's still fun. So you're still running. It's still exciting. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, like I'm kind of getting tired a little bit. Like, and I'm not moving really fast. Like I'm not making my way up this escalator. And people aren't saying yes as fast as I want. And then what do you do when you take a break? Like, what do you do when you get tired and you take that break? What happens when you're on an escalator? You go backwards, right? When you come back to this business, you get discouraged and you take a break. Do you get to come back kind of where you left off with the momentum you had, with the people you had? It's not like that, unfortunately. When you take that break, when you take those breaks, you come back and you got to start at the bottom because all those people that saw you stop, they're like, like he's not doing it anymore. He's not doing it anymore. Like, it must not be worth it. Why would I do this if she's not doing this anymore? And so you lost all that credibility. You lost all that trust. That's the biggest mistake that coaches make. They don't understand that those 2 or 3 leaders they want, that big picture, they just don't understand that those people are going to have to really watch them before they're ready. They're going to use you as a guinea pig. And they might not like anything you post. They might not comment on anything you post, but they're definitely watching. The 2 or 3 leaders that you guys want that are going to create the income and the freedom that you guys want, they're probably already watching you right now. They're probably already watching you right now to see what you do with this thing. And they've probably seen you guys go up and down the escalator just like they saw me, and they didn't get on board with me. I'm just going to mute some people. I don't know if I set this up. All right. So that's the biggest mistake I made. This is the one that's going to be tough for you guys to talk to your coaches about. But the thing I've noticed that separates the coaches that end up staying on the escalator and end up having that huge year in their second and third year versus the coaches that kind of go up and down are 2 things. And I'm going to dive into these in different aspects. First is your why, and the second is your belief. But before I dive into that, got a question for you guys. We talked about this big picture, right? We talked about this finding these 2 or 3 leaders that are going to jump on board with you and eventually start to build their own teams, right? If you had a table, let's say you guys have a table and you have 1,000 cups that are flipped upside down on a table. And underneath 5 of those cups are diamonds that are worth that are going to create, if you found these diamonds, you'd be able to quit your job and have all the freedom to do whatever you want with your life. There's 1,000 cups. Under 5 of them are these 5 diamonds. How many cups would you guys flip before you'd quit? Would you flip 5 cups and then say, I didn't find that diamond yet. I think I'm going to take a break, or I'm going to give up on this thing? Would you flip 10 cups and be like, I didn't find any diamonds under these 10. Like, I think I'm done. You'd flip all 1,000 cups. That's what this business is. We literally just have to flip cups. And it's inevitable that if you flip enough cups, you're going to find your diamonds. You're going to find your leaders that want to do this. But if you only flip 5 cups and those aren't your people, you didn't find the diamonds under those 5 cups, and you give up, you've left those diamonds out there that are still sitting there under those cups. Sometimes cups are a little sticky, and you try to like flip the cup and it won't flip yet because it's not ready to be flipped. So you got to just kind of try to flip it. And the analogy being like, you got to invite, and maybe they're not ready, and it's stuck. It's not going to flip over. You go on to the next cup. You flip the next cup. You flip, but then eventually you kind of come back to that cup that didn't flip yet, and you try to get it unstuck and flip it, and maybe there's a diamond under that cup. But no matter what, there's going to be diamonds under some of these cups. The worst thing you can do is stop flipping them. The worst thing you can do is be like, man, I flipped like 5 of these cups, 10 of these cups. This is exhausting. I don't think I'm going to flip any more cups. I'm just going to let these diamonds just sit out there somewhere. I'm never going to find these things. That to me is how I look at this business. The escalator mindset and flipping cups. And once I finally got that in my mind, I went from believing that I can to knowing that I will. And once I went from believing that I can to knowing that I would be successful with this thing, my demeanor changed, my belief changed, and the people I was talking to, they could feel it. When you guys get to that point where you know you're never going to stop flipping cups, you know you're never going to stop getting off this escalator, people are going to sense that, and they're going to feel it, and they're going to know that they're either going to come with you and be successful with you, or they're going to get left behind. Because you're not going to be desperate for them. And they're going to feel that you're not desperate for them. They're going to feel that you're going with or without them. And that's when they start to get on board with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the people that kind of tend to continue to flip cups and have that belief in them and continue to stay on the escalator, and people can sense that. They have these 2 things that are super, super strong that people feel, that these people are going to feel this from you, and they're going to know that you're not going anywhere, and they're either going to get left behind or they're going to come with you. The first being your why. This is something that people talk a lot about their why, but I think that most coaches, the only time they think about their why is when someone asks them what it is. The coaches that are blowing this thing up, their why is on the forefront of their mind. Like, they can't turn it off. That's a huge difference. There might be coaches that have huge whys, but they never think about it. It's just something that they think about once in a blue moon, versus if it's something that's always in front of you, you're looking at it, thinking about it, it's fueling you every day. That's a huge difference. So having like a why list that you have written down that you look at every day, or a vision board that you look at every day, something that's fueling you daily. Beyond just the fact that you want to help people, something that's personal to you and your family and your future and your family's future. And it's going to evolve over time. For me, like, I just wanted to make a couple $100 a month to be able to help just pay for stuff. Like, if I wanted to go to the bar and buy my buddies a round of drinks, like, I could just do it. I didn't have to think about it. I had this like little Monopoly money on the side that I could do whatever I wanted with. And then I remember, like, when I made that first week where I made $100, like, I was so excited. And then the first week I made $200. And then I had set that goal where I was like, I want to make 500 a week. And so I set that goal and I looked at it and it fueled me, and I finally got to that point, and then it was 1,000. And then I was like, I want to get to the point where I can quit my job and do this thing full time. I don't know what your guys' beliefs are, but I kind of think that this is like my one shot at this particular life. I don't want anyone telling me how to live it. I don't want anybody or anything dictating how I can live my life. I don't want any restrictions on how I live my life. I don't want time restrictions. I don't want money restrictions. I don't want money to tell me what I can and cannot do. I don't want to be stuck in a location that's telling me where I have to be. I want to be able to go where I want, when I want, with who I want. Like right now, I'm in a hotel with my dad on a skiing trip for this week in Colorado. I didn't have to talk to my boss and ask him for time off. I didn't have to check my bank account to see how much money I had, to see if I could pay to help my dad come on this trip with me. Like I just said, Dad, I want to take you on a trip. Like, let's go somewhere. I want to treat you for everything that you did for me my entire life. I want to do something to pay you back. And I just think it would be fun to do something together and spend time together. And I want to be able to pay for it too. This is part of the why that is like something that is fueling me every single day. Like still to this day, like I'm reinventing that because there's certain things, like I want to be able to take my family on a trip around the entire world. I want to be able to take my friends on trips and just be like, yo, I got you. Like I got your flight. I got your hotel. Like, let's just go. Like, I won't have to think about that stuff. So
payback time.
So these are things that if you want to yourself and you want to inspire your coaches to stay on the escalator and you want to inspire your coaches to continue to show up every day and continue to flip those cups, you got to figure out what it is for them that's going to fire them up on every single day. On the days they don't feel like doing this, what's going to fire them up to show up and do it anyway? And the days they don't think they have time, what's going to make them make time? Maybe it's something small for them. Maybe it's something big. Maybe it's something in the middle. But maybe it's a whole bunch of things. But you got to figure out how to help your coaches dream bigger. You got to help your coaches believe bigger. You got to help them dream bigger, one, and then you help them believe bigger that they can actually achieve those things too. We're going to go into the belief, but if they don't have the why, then the belief doesn't really matter. It starts with that why fuel. Then we can figure out the belief part. But most coaches, they're so afraid to dream. They're so afraid to put their dreams out there or even think about that because they don't want to set themselves up for failure. So they don't even allow themselves to dream. That's our job, is to help them dream. Every time you get on a call with your coach, every time I get on a call with my coaches, I want to know what their why is. Even if I know what it is, I ask them it because I want them to say it out loud, because I want them to put it out there in the universe. I don't want them to only think about it just once in a while. I want them to think about it all the time. So I'm constantly asking them about that over and over again. So they're reinventing that why. They're thinking about it. They're talking about it. They're putting it out there over and over. It's fueling them daily. Helping your coaches dream, and not just yourself, but your coaches too. Cool? All right. So let's talk about belief. So we talked about the why, like having your how many of you guys have vision boards or a why list? Like you have your why like written down, or you have a vision board of it. All you guys mostly. And you guys do that with your new coaches when they come on the team too, to kind of help them start to have this fire. Like if they don't have that why fuel, they're not gonna stay on this escalator. They're not gonna attract the people that they want. That why fuels everything in the beginning. So now let's talk about the belief. So it's great that you've developed this, you've helped your coaches dream bigger, you've helped yourself dream bigger, you've created this huge why. But if you don't have the belief that goes along with it, you're not going to do the things every day that's going to get you to that why. But as soon as you have that belief that, oh, the things I'm doing every day, it's inevitable, I'm going to get that huge dream, that huge why, then you're going to show up every day. And your coaches are going to show up every day. And people are going to feel that and notice that energy from them. And they're not going to feel that desperation. They're going to feel like, yo, this person's like on track. They're going somewhere. I can feel that. And that's when your people are going to start to track their people. So the way I kind of help people with belief, there's a few things. I got a few like belief and mindset pieces that go with each scale of the business I'm going to share. But the big one thing I really like to do is just kind of reverse engineer it for people so they kind of see like the big picture. They kind of have this tunnel vision. So big picture, right? Like finding your 2 or 3 leaders, 1 or 2 great leaders on your left side, 1 or 2 great leaders on your right side, and they do not have to be personally sponsored. If you bring someone in on your left side that's doing it, and they bring someone in that really wants to do it, that really wants to run, work with that person. They might not help your rank, but volume's volume. Hashtag volume's volume. We joke about that all the time, but if you just find those 1 or 2 leaders on each leg, you're going to crush this business. So don't don't overlook the coaches on your team that might not be your PS, because it's just as good. It's just as good. So the way I like to do this belief part is reverse engineering it. So you guys know you got to find those 1 or 2 great leaders on each leg, right? Those 1 or 2 great leaders, those 1 or 2 great coaches that are going to be coming into your business on each leg, where do you guys usually kind of find those people? For me, they tend to be people that are kind of coming out of my challenge groups. You guys notice that? Not to say that they always are, but even if someone approaches me about the business, I make sure they do one of my 21-day challenges. Because I've trained coaches as a new coach, I've trained someone that's never done a challenge group, and I've trained people that have come out of a challenge group, and it's night and day the difference in their learning curve. If someone has come out of a challenge group, it's so much easier for them to pick up this whole coaching thing. It's so much easier for them to develop a stronger belief because they have that foundation in the products. And they see what we do as coaches. They see that we're the glue. So whether someone's coming to me just for the business, I'm still making them do a challenge group in a 21-day challenge. So my leaders, your people are going to be coming out of challenge groups. So you can kind of see how I'm starting to reverse engineer this for my coaches. They know the big picture is finding your 2 or 3 leaders. They know those are going to be people that fall in love with the products that are going to be coming out of those challenge groups. And then how do you get people into your challenge groups? By being on the escalator every day, by flipping cups every day, right? That's it. So now your coaches, the things you're telling them to do each day, the vital behaviors that I'm going to talk a little bit about, they aren't just like these things that we tell people to do. Like they see exactly how those vital behaviors lead to people in the challenge groups, and they see that the people in the challenge groups are what lead to the best coaches, and they see that the coaches are what's going to lead to them finding their 2 or 3 great leaders. So they know exactly those things they're doing every day are leading to that big picture, which is leading to their freedom, to their why. You guys with me on that? You kind of see exactly how that works. So it's not like, oh, these are just the vitals that like everyone talks about. They see exactly how that works all the way up to like their why list or their vision board. It ties right in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the mindset struggle I see coaches having with each of the 5 skills, because I only teach coaches 2 things. I teach them the mindset piece, which we kind of went over, that why and that belief, and then I teach them the 5 skills. Once a coach has their why and their belief really, really strong there, and then they develop their 5 skills, it's game on. Their businesses take off. Those are the only 2 things I'd worry about teaching coaches. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the 5 skills, but really I'm going to talk about the mindset behind each of those 5 skills, because I think that's where people are falling off a little bit, is the mindset, the belief behind those 5 things. So the first is sharing on social media, sharing your journey on social media. The biggest struggle I see my coaches having with this is they're worried about what other people think. They're worried about what other people think of what they're sharing. And it's usually 1 or 2 people. How many of you guys, when you first started, there was like 1 or 2 people that you felt like nervous about what they might think of what you posted? Everybody, right? So we let these like 1 or 2 people dictate what we share on social media. And in turn, we let these 1 or 2 people dictate the people we reach and the success we have in this business. We let these 1 or 2 people dictate that, versus the hundreds and thousands of other people that would love to hear what we're sharing. All we're sharing is things that work for us. There's so many other people that would love to hear about the things that are working for us. Our workouts, our nutrition, personal development, the community we're surrounding ourselves with. They'd love to be invited to something like that, but nobody's invited them to it yet. Those thousands and thousands of people out there, millions of people out there, let those people dictate what you share. The success you want to have, the impact you want to have, the income you want to build. Let the thousands and millions of people out there that would love to be invited to this, let them dictate what you're sharing, not the 1 or 2 nasty people. Those 1 or 2 people that you're worried about, like a lot of times they're the people that will come around and do this with you. But if not, don't worry about it. They're not your people. They can do you a favor and unfriend you. And then you don't have to worry about that anymore. And you can just share freely. It's so freeing to not have to give a shit what other people think of what you're sharing. You just share what you want to share because it's what works for you. You share like quotes from books that really landed for you, or workouts that you love, or nutrition that you love, or whatever it is. You share that stuff because it works for you. And the people that really want that, they're going to come to you, or they're at least going to watch you for a while. But don't let those one or two people dictate what you post as one or two nasty people, because you're missing out on all the other people you could help. And those one or two people, like, their opinions aren't going to pay your bills. Those one or two people, their opinion's not going to give you your freedom in life. So don't let their opinion dictate what you share and dictate your success. Cool? Cool. All right. The second is inviting. So here's my mindset that I teach my coaches around the inviting piece. So inviting, to me, is like inviting to a party. Like, if you're inviting people to a party at your house on Friday, you don't really overthink it. You're just like, yo, hey, I'm having people over Friday. Like, love it if you could make it. Love it if you could make it. Like, that's how I invite to my 21-day challenges. I just say, hey, I'm having a 21-day challenge. Like, I'd love it if you could make it. Something like that simple. I don't overthink it. I don't say, like, if I'm inviting people to a party at my house on Friday, I don't say, hey, I'm having a party and there's going to be like this amount of people there. And when you walk in the door, there's going to be a couch on the right and there's going to be like chips on the table. I don't like lay out this detailed, crazy thing. It's just like, yo, I'm having a party. Like, love it if you could make it. That's it. I'm not worried if they say no. Like, I'm not worried that I'm being annoying. I just the last thing I want is for them to feel like they didn't get invited. The last thing I want is for me to have this party of all these people I invited, and then there's someone that I forgot to invite. I want them to at least know they're invited. And if they can't make it, they can't make it. But at least they know they had the invite to the party. And then if they can't make it that month, because I didn't pressure them and get mad at them for not showing up to my party, like, maybe they'll come the next month. And that's usually what happens. I just invite them like it's a party every month. And eventually, one of the months, they end up showing up and they bring their discount to pass, their challenge pack. So I think we just overthink it. We overthink that we're bugging people. And another hiccup that we have as coaches is we feel like sometimes we're annoying people. This is the way I look at my social media. It's my storefront. This is my business. If someone's watching my stories, they have walked into my store. They have walked through the front door. I'm going to greet them and see if there's anything I can help them with. If they like one of my posts, they've just walked through my storefront. I'm going to greet them and see if there's anything I can help them with, invite them to a challenge group. If they don't respond and they continue to watch my story, that means they are continuing to walk into my storefront. And so I'm going to continue to greet them, invite them to, if there's anything I can help them with, invite them to the next challenge group. Even if they ghosted me, even if they didn't respond the month before, if they continue to watch my stories, that's just the same as them walking into my storefront. So I'm going to invite them again. I'm not going to copy and paste the exact same word for word invite, but it's going to be the similar invite. If so many people are going to walk through your storefront and they might never show up again, that's fine. But when they do walk through your storefront by watching your stories or liking your posts, make sure you're greeting them and seeing if there's anything you can help them with, just like anyone does. And if they're not ready, they're not ready. That's fine. But if they continue to come through your storefront, make sure you're continuing to greet them and continuing to invite them. That's what your social media is. Like that, it's your storefront. So you never have to feel like, oh, like I don't want to invite them, or I feel like I'm annoying them, like they ghosted me. They didn't respond last month when I invited them, but they continue to watch your stories. They continue to walk through your storefront. So you got to continue to invite them. You guys cool with that? Sweet. All right. Mindset around giving your challengers an amazing experience. Once they've walked through your storefront, you've invited them, you've followed up with them, they're finally in the group now, they've done this thing. Here's your mindset you want to have around giving your people an amazing experience, giving your challengers a really great experience. The better the experience you give your people, the more likely they're going to want to give it to other people. The more likely they're going to want to become a coach. And the more likely they're going to be a successful coach, because when they do become a coach, they're probably going to give the same experience to their people that you gave to them. So when I'm talking to people, like about when I'm going through the invite with them, the last thing on my mind is making money off of them. I do not want their $50. Like, I would much rather take the $50 commission and PayPal it back to them, or use the $50 to send them some Energize. I don't want them to think that I'm out here to try to make $50 off of them. I really don't give a crap about that. And I think because that's my mindset around it, is that they can feel that I don't want their $50. I don't want 2 Success Club points. I want them to get into my challenge group and have an amazing experience that helps them create a healthy lifestyle that lasts long term. And then maybe they become part of my tribe that wants to lock arms with me on this thing and do this thing with me as a coach. They become my 2 or 3 leaders that want to do this. I'm always thinking bigger picture. Like, hopefully this is someone that falls in love with this lifestyle and wants to do this with me as a coach. I don't really want their $50. If that $50 is what's holding them back from doing this challenge group with me, and that $50 is what's holding them back from maybe eventually turning into that next coach that wants to crush this thing with me, I want to do something to give them that $50 back, because I want them to know that I don't want the $50. It's not about the $50. It's not about the 2 Success Club points. So even before they buy the challenge group, the challenge pack, even before they start to have the experience, they can feel that and sense that I'm not out to make a quick buck off of them. They can see that I'm thinking much bigger. I'm focused more on the experience they're going to have after they get the challenge pack. You guys kind of feel that too? I think sometimes we get so caught up in the Success Club thing, and we come across as like a little bit desperate because we're always focused on these points. We're always and sometimes focused on just that $50 commission, but we're missing out on that bigger picture that we talked about at the beginning of this call, that bigger picture of finding those coaches that really want to run with you on this thing. And if you have that mindset of that bigger picture mindset, the people you're talking to about challenge groups, they can feel that you have a bigger picture mindset and you're not out to just make a sale. And they're going to be able to feel that you're not just trying to sell something. And they're going to be able to feel that they're not just going to get a challenge pack from you. They're buying you too. And they're going to be able to tell that your job isn't to sell challenge packs. Your job starts once they buy the challenge packs. Once they get in the challenge group, that's when you guys really get to work. That's the mindset behind giving your people an amazing experience. It's the foundation to everything. If you guys really fall in love with that, people that you're talking to about challenge groups and inviting people, they're going to sense that, and more people are going to say yes and get into your challenge groups. And then the better the experience you give them, the more likely they're going to want to become a coach, and the better your coaches are going to be. That foundation, that's, to me, I think it's the foundation of the whole business, is that experience you're going to give your challengers and not getting caught up in Success Club points. Cool? You guys cool with that? Cool. All right. The fifth, so we kind of covered the 5 skills, right? This is the last part, and then I'm done. So we talked about the why and the belief, helping your coaches believe bigger. So first, helping them dream bigger with their why, and then helping them believe bigger with their belief. So why and the belief's the mindset. Then the 5 skills. We covered number 1, sharing on social media, the mindset behind that, and the thing that holds most coaches back. Skill 2, connecting with people, just adding new people to your network. Really easy way to do that. Find someone on Instagram that you really love their page. Doesn't have to be someone famous, just someone that's a normal person that you really like their page, and maybe they live local. Go to their Instagram and just follow all the people that follow them, or follow all the people that they follow. And you can do that for a bunch of different people. You'll never run out of people to follow if you do that. So, and then skill 3, inviting. So we talked about the mindset and the belief behind inviting. You're just inviting to a party, and you want to make sure that nobody feels left out. You're not annoying people. Like, this is your storefront. You're just making sure that nobody, any of you guys like sent out wedding invitations before? Like, the last thing you want to do is like forget to send out or forget to invite someone, right? Like if you had a big party or something, that's what these 21-day challenges are. You're just throwing a party and you want to make sure everyone's invited to it. So that's kind of the mindset behind the inviting. The 4th skill is the giving your people an amazing experience. We talked about the mindset behind that. The 5th and the final skill is then introducing people to the coaching opportunity. So here's kind of my approach to that, because I think a lot of coaches struggle with this. There's so many coaches that have huge why, huge belief. They got those first 4 skills down. They're hitting Success Club like crazy Success Club numbers, getting their challengers, but they aren't getting good coaches, because that 5th skill, the inviting to coaching, they freeze up with that. So this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, because I think it's a huge one, is how to get more comfortable with talking to people about the coaching opportunity, how to introduce the coaching opportunity to people, that 5th skill. So I call it the 3-2 approach. So the 3-2 approach is what I use whenever someone asks me what this whole coaching thing is. It's a very simple way to explain coaching to people. So the 3 is the 3 things we offer as a coach. So if someone says, hey, what's this coaching thing? You can say, well, let me tell you, there's 3 things we offer as a coach, and then I'm going to tell you the 2 ways we earn as a coach. The 3-2 approach, super simple. So 3 things we offer as a coach: fitness, nutrition, and support. You get your fitness taken care of with programs laid out for you, with a calendar that tells you what workouts to do every day of the week, with a trainer that you can bring anywhere you go. You have a meal plan that you can follow with portion control containers that take out all the counting of calories and all that. You have Shakeology to knock out 1 meal a day with superfoods. So your nutrition and fitness, Beachbody takes care of that. If people follow those things, it works, right? Like, the programs are not on trial, like, they work, but most people don't use them. That's why we as the coaches, we're the glue of the whole thing. That's why Carl doesn't sell the stuff at Walmart and Target. He'd make a lot of money doing it, but he knew that if people really were going to get results, they needed that human element. That's why he went with the coaching network instead. So people get the fitness, nutrition, and they get us. And we're the missing piece. We're the glue to the whole thing. So when people ask you, what's this coaching thing? You say, well, there's 3 things we offer as a coach: the fitness, the nutrition, and the community, that glue. And then there's 2 ways you earn as a coach. The first way, 25% commission from anything that people order from you. Super simple, right? Second way you earn is what they call a team bonus. So if some of those people that you're helping decide that they want to become coaches and you help them have success, Beachbody thanks you for doing that by giving you what's called a team bonus. And that team bonus is based on the success of your coaches, your team. Super simple way. The 3-2 approach, super simple way to explain how the business opportunity works, what this coaching thing is. 3 things we offer as a coach, 2 ways we earn. You guys feel pretty comfortable? Like, when someone's like, what is this coaching thing? How do you earn as a coach? You guys feel like that? You guys can explain that two ways real easy. 25% commission from customers. And then as you help coaches get started, you get that team bonus based on how successful those coaches are. And it's not just your coaches, it's your coaches' coaches. And your team starts to grow because you don't just work with your coaches, you help your coaches get coaches of their own. Because like we talked about, you're helping them with that belief, with the why. You're helping your coaches get coaches, and you're helping your coaches' coaches have success. And then you're helping your coaches' coaches coach have success. And you're starting to build really, really deep on this thing. Probably 90 or 95% of my income comes from the team bonus. When you first start this business, it's all commission based. And so it's 100% your effort. As you start to get a few good coaches that want to do this with you, and Beachbody thanks you by giving you that team bonus, now you're getting that team bonus that's getting paid to you around the clock. Whether you're working or not, whether you're in Colorado on a ski trip or not, like, your team bonus is still going to be coming in. That's where that freedom piece comes in, that freedom that we talked about at the beginning of the call. So that's the 3-2 approach that kind of goes with that introducing to the coaching opportunity. That's all I have for the mindset piece, the belief side, the big picture stuff. Do you guys have any questions on that? I have about 7 minutes here. You have any questions, Mom?
Me? Oh, I missed the first part.
We went over the escalator mindset, like the big picture, finding your 2 or 3 leaders. You have to stay on the escalator, having the strong why, having a strong belief, and then went over the 5 skills.
Okay. I guess that new book of Keith Callahan's is like amazing. If anybody hasn't read it, wouldn't you recommend that?
Yeah, I really think that's a great book. It's because it talks about not only talks about the big picture, because you don't have to sell 1 million challenge packs to be successful at this thing. You don't have to sign 1 million coaches. You got to find those, I think he calls it his 5 leaders, but really it's 2 or 3. But not only does he talk about the 5 leaders and like that mindset behind that, but he talks about like the blueprint of actually how to go about finding them and how to develop them into leaders.
What's the name of the book? It's Build to Last.
Yeah, Build to Last. Keith Callahan.
So the other thing I would say is, like you always talk about, this is not a get rich quick scheme. It takes time to build a team. So, I mean, some people blow it up in a year. That's, not the norm. It is possible, but it doesn't mean if you're not successful in 1 year, it is inevitable that you will be successful with this business. And so we're more of the mindset of like 3 to 5 years. If you do it faster, that's amazing, because you're just doing it. You're doing the vitals that they're going to teach you this week, but you're probably on steroids, and some people, and everyone goes at their own pace, and you don't have to judge yourself from someone else in this business, because we've been in it 10 years. And some people have blown up what we've done in 5 years, but we're never giving up. And you have to have that mindset. I'm never giving up. Be here 3 to 5 years from now. You're also young. It is just incredible what this opportunity is that's handed to us. And you just have to have the belief, like Pat said, it's the belief that you will do this. And when you have that belief, other people will follow you, because if you don't have the belief, how are you going to lead other people? And this group is about getting to Diamond and then becoming a leader. And if you get that book with Keith Callahan, you can be a leader with followers, or you can be a leader of leaders. And we want to develop leader of leaders. Like you can force feed people to get to Diamond. Anybody can get to Diamond with 12 people. I mean, it's not that hard. You can get to Diamond with 12 people, but you're not going to make any money. You have to build a team. You have to have the belief. And that's where it comes from. And so when you get to Diamond, then you have to teach your coaches how to do the same thing. And that's where the residual income comes from. It comes from building a team. Like Pat said, anybody can sell a challenge pack, but can you get that person to believe what you're believing, and you give them such an experience, they want to join you, and then they're going to do what you're doing. Simple duplication. We go 7 levels deep doing the exact same thing we're doing now. I mean, there's no magic. It's just simple, but you've got to get people to join you and develop leaders.
Yeah.
I get kind of fired up.
No, it's great. I mean, the cool thing about this, I think one of the things that really helped me go from like, oh, I believe I can be successful, to like, oh, I know I will be successful.
Right.
Was when I read that book, The Slight Edge, because I think I just made this business more complicated than it was in my head. I did. And I would look at other successful coaches and I would kind of put them on a pedestal and think that they were somebody that I could never be. And then I read that book, The Slight Edge, and I listened to that YouTube video, How to Build Your Network Marketing Business. And all of a sudden I went from like, oh, I believe I can be successful, to like, oh, I know I will.
Right.
Because it's not about being like this rock star, superstar coach. It's not about having these fancy things. It's about keeping it really simple and just staying super, super consistent. And I remember at that event, it wasn't like, it's not about doing like a ton of stuff once a week. It's not about eating 7 apples on Sunday. It's about an apple a day. An apple a day. It's those little tiny duplicatable things every single day. And
what about that book? The one thing that people go, oh, you're lucky you were successful. What do you say to that, Pat?
That I was lucky I was successful?
Yeah. When people say, oh, you were lucky, you were successful. You are successful.
If it was luck, I would have been successful like from day one. Like I didn't have success with this until I actually understood the slight edge, which was like after being a coach for 3 years. I was like semi unsuccessful a little. I didn't like quit, but I wasn't having a ton of success the first few years.
And so was the team, right? Because we were doing the same thing.
Right. It was, and so the people that were watching me, like, the people on social media that were watching me, my friends, my family, they weren't going to do this. They weren't going to take this thing serious because I wasn't taking it serious because I wasn't consistent. So they weren't going to take this thing on until I took it on full force. And until I got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm never going to quit. Like, it's inevitable. I'm never going to stop flipping cups. I'm going to keep flipping cups until I find my diamonds. And I know it's inevitable that I will, because I will never stop.
And how did you do that? But how did you do it with the slight edge?
I just did a little bit a day. Like, I just invited a few people a day. And I was like, if I just keep sharing this enough, it's inevitable I'm going to find, I don't need a million. I need one or two good ones. And if I share this enough, it's inevitable I'll find them. And if you're one of them, cool. And if you're not, cool. But I'm going and I'm doing this. And you can come with me and we'll have a lot of fun with this, or I'm going to go do this with someone else. And that was that was the mindset shift. But
teach them to do the same.
Yeah. Then I just taught them to, like when my sister Amy was like, all right, I want to do this now. I literally taught her how to do this business in 20 minutes during our lunch break. I pulled her aside. I showed her how to invite. I showed her how to find people on social media. I told her what to say, like how to invite to the party. And she just did that. Like, she just invited every day, a little bit every day, a few people every day. It didn't blow up right away. Some people come in and they we have a few coaches that have come in and they go to flip let's like that analogy. There's 1,000 cups on a table, right? And there's 5 diamonds under 5 of those cups because they're out there. Some coaches get lucky-ish and they flip a cup and they just happen to find a diamond under that first cup. The first coach they sign up is a rock star. Some people, it takes 20 cups and then it's that 20th coach they sign up. That's their rock star. But like I said at the beginning, how many cups are you going to flip before you quit? Are you going to flip 20 and quit, or 5 and quit? Or 98% of people in network marketing quit before they flip 10 cups. Isn't that insane? People just come into this business and they think it's a lottery ticket. They think they can scratch off 5 things or talk to 5 people and they're going to be rich. So they talk to 5 people, all 5 say no, and then they say, oh, that thing didn't work. If you have signed up 10 coaches, you are in the top 2% of all network marketers. That's where the game really begins, is that 2%. If you haven't got to that 2% yet, then the game hasn't even started yet. It's finding those first 10. Now you're in the top 2%. Now you're really starting to build this business. You guys cool? You guys ready to flip some cups?
So yes, what if you have 10 people on your team, and then you get a couple people that are doing what you're doing, you can just exponentially see how your team will just blow up, and you get 5% of all of that, and then you just teach them to do the same thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right.
I'm getting fired up.
Woo! Yeah, it's great now. It really is I signed up my mom as a coach, right? She signs up my sister. Then my sister Andrea signs up her friend Michelle. When Michelle signed up, my mom and I treated Michelle like she was our personally sponsored coaches. We talked to her, we trained her, we texted with her, we checked in with her, even though she was in my 4th level. Michelle signed up Shauna. I was texting with Shauna, checking in with Shauna, just as if she was my own coach. Shauna signed up her sister. Her sister signed up Ashley Bell Dyson. We check in with Ashley. We talked to Ashley. We worked with Ashley. Ashley didn't have success with this business really until at end of her her 2nd year. 2 years in is when her confidence started blooming. Her belief started coming through. Her why was always there. She always had the big dream, the big why, and the belief was getting closer and closer and bigger. And then all of a sudden the belief went from, she believed she could, to she knew she would. And then all of a sudden people started being really attracted to her that had been watching for a while. We're like, boom, I'm in. But if we hadn't taken that time to reach out to our coaches and really start to work with them and keep them going and help them build their belief, who knows where we'd be.
Because that's the part of that everybody hears like volume, but it's you get a little piece of every one of your coaches and everyone they bring in, everyone they bring and everybody they bring. So you can treat your coaches and your downline, whoever has the belief and wants to learn, why wouldn't you teach them? Why wouldn't you help them? Because you get a little piece of anybody that's in your downline. So
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. It never ends. That's why the potential is
to the moon.
Cool. Well, we got some really great presenters the rest of the week. We got tomorrow. Danielle's going to talk about how to organize. Then we got Celine talking about show up and be proof. Then Lindsay's going to be talking about inviting and expanding your network. Amy's going to talk about no means not right now. Anastasia is going to talk about fortune is in the follow-up. And Mackenzie's going to talk about roadmap to diamond. And then we also have like some top coaches in the network. I think Bree Headley, who's like a top 20 coach. We got Raina Odell, who's been top 10 a bunch of times. Who else? I think we got a few other ones that are going to be doing some trainings. But yeah, this week's going to be crazy. We got some really great trainings the rest of this week. And then after this week, it's going to be more kind of an accountability group with like just a few little like pop-in trainings from some of the top coaches in the network too. So kind of leading into the Team Cup. Cool. Who's rank advancing like by the end of this group? Yeah. Who's on a Team Cup team? All right. I see some hands that didn't get raised, so cool. All right, guys, let's get a big boom on 3. I'll post this in the group, the recording here. 1, 2, 3. Boom! All right. See you guys.